Welcome to another round of Master Phil in Your Corner. This is episode number 116. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Mcloughn, a guy that I've known for decades now, but he's doing some wonderful things. But before we get into our podcast, let us thank our sponsors. Of course, philross.com. Check out philross.com for the Body Bell Method, Survival Strong. We have Fit Team products. Go there, check it out. We have seminars, workshops, online training. The Survival Strong second edition book will be out shortly, probably within the next month or so. And then we also have the Survival Strong course that's available online at survivalstrong.philross.com. And without any further ado, let us give a warm Master Phil welcome to Dr. Mcloughn. Mike.
Thank you, Master Phil.
Good.
I'm not a doctor.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were a doctor. What are you? Oh, well, tell us your. I see you posting all this incredible information. I see what you're doing with your background. I know that you are a certified trainer with NASM, right?
Right.
And then what are some of your other accolades that you have here? Because I see that you're certified personal trainer. What is and you can tell me like this NKT. I'm not very familiar with that.
So basically, Dr. Phil,
I'm not Dr. Phil, Master Phil.
Yeah, Master Phil. I'm sorry, we're cross-referencing it.
Mhm.
Basically, Master Phil, I'm a lifelong personal trainer.
Yes.
And a strength coach. And I've been in business for maybe 40 years, but the last 22 years, I've been into getting people out of pain and being able to exercise correctly.
Well,
and
yeah, but before you get right into that, I think people really need to know where you come from. I mean, you are an incredible strength athlete, setting multiple records in the state of New Jersey for powerlifting.
Yes,
I remember you back in the day just hoisting.
I was one of the best powerlifters of my time.
Yes.
In the golden era of powerlifting, I was top 5 in the world in the squat. And I won national championships, state level championships. I set numerous records in the squat in total, but I was known for my squat.
Yes.
And once I left the powerlifting world, I went into the bodybuilding world because it's interconnected. And I was a very good state level competitor, but I couldn't really reach my maximum potential because already my body was used up and banged up. Even though I did very well, I had 15 years of competition preventing me from developing the size and mass to continue. But I did do very well, and I placed in all the shows that were very competitive shows in my era, but I was known for powerlifting. I just did the bodybuilding because we all start out as bodybuilders and then we venture into our own professions on different kind of scopes. And that's where I came from.
Now, how did this incredible strength and fitness background, how did this like bring you? I mean, it's a natural progression, but what inspired you about that to bring you into this healing phase that you're in right now?
That is probably the best question anyone's ever asked me. And this is the answer which I give without them asking to. When I loved to train, even competition, I just did it because I went to a high level, and I still love to work out. Of course, it's a low level. When I was young, I was very afraid that I would not be able to continue to working out because of injuries or accidents that would happen in my profession. So what I did was, at any stage of my career, I was at the highest level of rehabilitation and maintenance for that era. In the 80s, it was icing it and leaving it alone. Of course, now things change. So my whole thing was, I was very afraid of not being able to continue. So that motivated me to pursue all these therapies. And as more advanced I got, I ran into more advanced therapies. And that's where I'm at today. And I still continue to do that because I have to still be able to perform things and show people, and also be an example of someone that's at an older adult that could still do amazing things.
Yeah. I mean, look, the thing is that, I always preach, I want to help people live better longer. And you are a person who does exactly that. You're helping people live better longer. I mean, what's the sense in living long if you're all hunched over and you can't even reach up
Exactly.
to get a cup of coffee off the shelf?
Yes. Yeah.
But you want to be able to move. We want to be able to move as we get older, and with knees, hips, backs, shoulders, these areas get beat up, especially, doing the things that you did, doing the things that I did. I mean, we were out there, whether it was, I competed, I did some powerlifting, bodybuilding, and
Sure.
so forth, but mostly I was more combat athlete. But you took the powerlifting, the bodybuilding to another level, and that
Yeah.
beats you up. Uh,
Yeah.
but how do we go about this? How do we know when to step back and slow down? I mean, is there, because there's a lot of stuff going on now where we were back in the day, no pain, no gain, right? Load up the bar, just scream, beat each other, lift the heaviest weight you can, go to max all the time, just kill yourself. But now they have like a different philosophy where your RPEs, or your percentage, the rate of perceived exertion, is probably around 80% on a big day, maybe 90, sometimes 70, sometimes 60. How do we, as strength athletes, the guys coming up, how do they know when to, apply this? Because I see things like CrossFit, even though, you know, philosophically, I like the different modalities of training, but in practice, I think that it may be hurting people.
Yes. Well, just to give you a funny saying, and I'm not an old school guy. I came from an old school, and Joe Weider used to say, when you're young, you should train as heavy as possible. Then when you get hurt, you'll see that that's the wrong way to do it. And then you'll be a little smarter to make weight selection. Now, with any kind of, rather than weight, any kind of resistance, let's say,
Mhm.
one of the things is having coaches. Now, I coached myself, but I had a lot of mentors. And when I was in high school, when I was in seventh grade, I worked out with seniors. When I was a senior, I worked out with Montclair State weightlifters because that was the only college that had the weightlifters.
Right.
I worked out with them, or they were in a gym, Tom Rohn's gym,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we met. We were in the same room together,
yeah.
and
I would say you were one of the guys I looked up to. You were one of
thank you.
the guys who I tried to model myself after. You were a little bit older than me, and you were very accomplished. So I'm like, damn, I want
Yeah.
to be strong like that.
Yep. And then when I became a college lifter, I was working with 27, 30-year-old men. Then when I became a state champion, I was training with national champions.
Right.
When I went to that level, I was training with world champions. So I always had good guidance because I was lucky enough to
Mhm.
to be in the position. And I believe that if you're really inquisitive and you really want to learn, there'll be people that will come into your life that will help you for free, where that same information, you might have to pay $1,000 or $2,000 to get it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, if you show passion, they will get, and that's where I'm coming now in my profession.
Mhm.
So that's where I got how to gradually move up. But how do we teach these young people today? First of all, coaching, and also this is what we learned later on. It's all about preserving, save it. When I powerlifted, I was very meticulous. I had a 1 day for this, 1 day for that, don't push it or everything. What I noticed that when I got out of the sport in my 30s and 40s, I thought I was afraid to lose it. So I did more. And if you want to know an example of this that no one knows, and I really take pride in this, you've heard of Ronnie Coleman.
I follow him. I see what
Yes, and you
happened to him.
see how the condition is in. He didn't get in that condition when he powerlifted. He was fine, but once he left, he continued to do this. That's where you got to back off.
Yeah.
But in sports, like in the NFL, when you get cut, you try another year or two, and that's it. So you don't have those instances to get hurt from. But in our sports, because you could do longevity, there's masters in karate, not that I know anything about it, in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
But so basically learning how to preserve, having the confidence to say, that's enough for today. Let me try tomorrow, you know, or the next day. But years ago, my mentors, when you had a bad bench press day, you did it the next day. Even I knew that, but this was 4 years before me that I heard of this. So it's about preserving the body.
Yeah.
A defensive back in the NFL that's 23 years old, all pro, trains differently than a Hall of Famer, 32-year-old all pro, but they could still do the same thing.
Yes.
But so it's how you train. And I want to continue, and I'm learning this every day, that how to back off and just do enough. You'd be surprised how you can come back and you won't lose it. But in the weightlifting game, and I'm sure in other sports, you're afraid that you're going to lose it. Let me do another set, you know? And when we get older, we don't warm up as properly. So we need to do more because one is not enough because we don't have that maximum ability like a young person.
Yeah.
So we overdo it even more as we get older. And that's one of my suggestions for younger people.
That's great.
Is to just have confidence and be methodical.
Excellent. I mean, you know, because the thing is like consistent actions produce consistent results, and these little actions, you know, add up to movements. And
Right.
what we want to do is constantly just keep going forward with a proper plan. You brought something to mind when you were speaking. I was thinking about, I'm sure you're familiar with Marty Gallagher.
Yes.
Yeah. And Mark Chalet.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, Chalet used to like just do like one rep of everything. And the guy was a world champion. And it's like, you know, it almost had like that Mensner, like that simplistic, minimalist approach to weight training. And yet the guy was a phenom, you know, because I know Marty pretty well. He's reviewed this with me, and I knew of Chalet because I went to University of Maryland. So, it was down there. But I mean, this guy would just do minimalist amounts. So I mean, that worked for him. Do you think can that work for everyone?
Well, this is it. That's a great question. And this is it's a video of it. There's a guy named Charles Poliquin. He passed away. He's probably the top of the food chain with Paul Chek in terms of personal trainers. Paul Chek is more holistic, but the highest level you can get. And Charles Poliquin is in terms of sports training. He's trained over 2,000 Olympic athletes. And what he says, it's neurotransmitters. There's some athletes that every time, because of their serotonin and dopamine or their choline, they're dominant where you have to give them every workout. Like there was a guy named Roger Estep in the 70s. He would do 10 sets of one. Yeah. Now, if you did 10 sets of one, if I did it, I would rip my joints apart. Yeah. And there's other people that did 5s, which is the magic number for Olympic lifting or powerlifting. Yep. So it's all how you're wired. And that's to find out. Some people, they need the same routine. And other people, they need a new challenge each time. So, and that's the responsibility of a coach. That's not what I do because I deal with different people. So it's how you're programmed. And that's individual. It works differently for everybody. Some people, I was better with reps, but there's some people that are better for 1 or 2. If I could do 1 or 2, I could do 3 or 4 because of how a technician I was. The whole thing was getting the 1 or 2. Yeah. So it's all a matter of our chemistry, our body, our mindset, and also our joints, how they can handle it. Yeah. Give you an old school example. Tom Platz, which is one of the biggest leg guys around, he trained legs once a month. Wow. You would once a month because he did it so hard. it would take them a month to
Shot.
recover. And you would think that someone like that, you would do more and more. So
Right.
everything is different. So getting out there and exploring how it works for you, because everyone, that's why it's very different. And that's the problem with online. Like,
Mhm.
who are you talking to? Squats are good for you. A goblet squat, maybe for a 50-year-old, but I don't think a
Right.
50-year-old should put a bar behind their back.
Thank you. Thank you. What you know, this is yes. Well, what I always say is like every body is different and every body is different. So everyone's
Yes,
different and everyone's body responds differently. You just solidified that.
yes,
The thing is like, we talk about squatting, right? People they'll go into a gym and they'll load up a bar on their back and start squatting. They wonder why their knees, their back hurt. They wonder why they can't train anymore. Why? Because first of all, you have to start with a body weight squat, then go to a goblet, then go to a front squat, then go to a high bar back squat, and then do your
yeah,
back squat.
yeah.
And you know what?
Eventually, bar,
You
yeah,
need to like.
exactly.
I'm not loading up a bar on my back anymore.
There's no need to. There's no. First of all, I'll tell you this. Like I have, like I tell people in their 40s and things that have done it, there is no such thing as bench pressing after 40. You
No.
want to hurt your shoulders. There, like very few, like 1 in a billion people can do that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, to load up, to put a bar behind your back and squat after with and you already have herniations. You
Mhm.
take any 40-year-old, athlete or not, if you MRI their cervical area, you will find some discs and so on. So if you squat for through 3 months, just like bench pressing, I don't know if I everyone I have to rehabilitate with them. And then you want to go into like an open chain movement, like a dumbbell or rubber band or a push-up. But in terms of doing a barbell at 40, 50 years old, I think that if you started off nice and slowly with the best trainer at 50 years old, and you slowly he'll hear me out,
Mhm.
slowly built this person's shoulders up nice and easy, by 6 months, he will have a torn rotary cuff. So that doesn't make a difference because they're not made, those gaskets are not made at that age to hold up.
Nope.
And and today bodybuilders, they're so afraid because they want their careers to go into 40s, 50s because there's money into it. There's no bodybuilders that bench press. Like Jay Cutler never bench pressed, and I'm not at all. I'm not a bodybuilding guy, but I'm just giving you examples like of a guy that's very popular. Everyone, Dorian Yates never bench pressed. So basically, there's many ways you can get healthy, like you're preaching and I'm preaching, but it's different. But it'll take you to the same place: health and fitness.
Yeah. I mean, like it's funny. Again, I'll just roll back to Marty Gallagher. During COVID, what I did was I wanted to keep my classes going. And I had to do them online, right? So I gave every single one of my students a medium kettlebell and a large. And personally, all I did was I had a 16 kg, which is 35 pounds, and I had a 28 kg, which is 62 pounds, and body weight. I led 4 classes a week, sub-maximal, 80%. I got stronger. And I said to Marty, I go, how'd that happen? He goes, well, you simplified things. Okay. I didn't do one bench press, one behind the neck squat. Also did like goblet squats, front squats, floor presses, things like that, all my different swings and snatches and pull-ups and push-ups and so forth. And I actually wound up getting stronger. So, how much do we really need, to keep strong, keep fit, and keep from getting injured? But I want to ask you something. You have this niche where you help people recover and be able to train and be able to have longevity. What is a typical client, or give us an example, someone who walks into your studio? What do you do? How do you assess them? How do you help them? And what do you and what's their benefit? I mean, I know what their benefits can be, but take us through the process.
What I do is this: if you want to get fit, or you want to go back into your sport or have some kind of level that you had once,
Mm.
and no one else can help you in terms of becoming pain-free, because that's the goal. You can't train when you're in pain because the receptors are shut down and the muscles will not fire, so you will not grow. You could do all the laterals you want. If your shoulder's hurt, you're not growing. That's a Paul Chek thing that I learned from 20 years ago, because of course, I was hard-headed, and I learned
train through the pain.
right. And what I do is I get people through these protocols, I assess them. It's a whole assessment. And with NKT, it's not only is the assessment is the fix, it's manual muscle testing. But let me just go in. Can I describe what NKT is?
Please. That was my next question.
So basically, I ran into it in Jersey in 2015, and then I moved here 2016 with my parents' home, and I remodeled it, and I went into it again at a higher level. So basically what NKT is this: the body works in patterns. Okay, so you test things in patterns. So to give you an example, if you strained your shoulder, okay, and now you have a tear, what happened is 6, 8 months, a year, or 2 years ago, other muscles were stabilizing that shoulder.
Yes.
Outside of the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, and teres minor, the 4 rotary cuff muscles. So when the body can no longer stabilize, so there was something brewing in there, meaning not firing synergistically, because you've had some issues. So the shoulder blade and the shoulder blade and the arm, eventually something will tear.
Yes.
Why does it tear? Because one muscle is not firing properly, and the other muscle is taking the beating.
Too much. Yeah.
Right. So doing a kitchen sink approach is not going to fix it, because if you release all the muscles, you're releasing muscles that are loose, and you're releasing muscles that are tight, but you don't want to release the muscles that are loose. And if you're strengthening the muscles that are already strong. Right. And that's creating an imbalance, because the weak ones you're supposed to be. So this is a test to find out what it is. Then that's level 1. Muscles are the easiest to fix. Level 2 NKT goes into rotation patterns. Okay. And basically we move in rotation, because like the gait and all that, and with eyes and so on. But level 3, it sort of gets easier and harder.
Can I go back to that level 2 for a second? Okay. Because, one of the things that I think is very important is that rotational strength, because we operate in the transverse plane, and the rotational strength is, that's all about that rotational, the transverse plane, the rotational strength, and the things that when people use machines too much, they don't address that, and then they wonder why they get injuries.
That shuts you down, because machines, you're pushing off a plane. I don't like machines. If you're a bodybuilder, that's different. But in terms of functionality, you're pushing off a machine. So if it's a bench press, we can get crooked like that, it'll go. So that's why even a rubber band at a staggered stance and just up and down, stabilizing your core, getting out, pivoting your foot. So that's one of the things. And machines will totally shut down your stabilizers. That's going to injure you more, So rotational patterns are very important, and everything is crossed. Like you could have a hip problem with a pec minor, and even golfing, when you swing, the opposite pec is firing, and you test those against each other. But basically, I'll tell you, let me give you this. NKT is a diagnostic tool that's the fix also, because when you do the correction, it's called, you have to test it out to prove it to the brain that it works. Because they say muscle has memory. No, nerves have memory. Muscles are slaves. It's the
nervous
nerve, the muscle is connected to the nerve, to the brain. If you shut the nerve down, the muscle won't do anything. So it's our nervous system, just like a lot of squatters today, like you don't train the squat, you train the nervous system. Because if you overdo it, you haven't overtrained, that's old school. You have overdone your nervous system.
You fry your nervous system. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So basically, there's three high levels of dysfunction, and you're going to love this because this is right up your alley. The first is scars. The highest form of problem is scars. If you have a scar on your toe and your shoulder hurts in NKT, you go to the scar because that shuts down because it's been cut, and now it no longer is firing properly because we move in patterns. So that pattern's off, okay? And even small scars, they go deep in. So basically, when you get what do you call it, a hernia,
Yeah.
they go from, if you get a hernia on your right, they start in your left with a little dot and they go across and they fix the hernia. Why'd they go across? Because if there's a problem, they could just pull away. Now that's just scarred everything up. So even the slightest. Now, not all scars are active, but pretty much they hold the highest dysfunction. The second is ligaments. In medical school, they don't believe in this, but ligaments have contractile abilities because around the joint, like the shoulder or the hip, there's ligaments that hold it together.
Yeah.
When the body weakens, when the joint weakens, the body will try to create stability. So those ligaments tighten up. But then again, when one tightens up, the other one loosens. So you do these kind of tests, and the release, I don't want to go into it because it's really priority thing.
Yeah, I know. So.
The teachers, but it's a direction that so basically I'm a licensed massage therapist.
Right.
Okay. So in the state of Florida. So if I was to massage the area, I would actually stimulate it.
Right.
So you got to know the way, and these are all
proper triggers. Yeah.
Right, treatments. And then the last is muscles. And muscles are the easiest to fix.
Yeah.
So as a personal trainer, I had to really up my game in the anatomy, which massage school helped me because all these courses, very few trainers. There's maybe one in the room. And like my friend was a personal trainer that was this came very easy to him. And I said, where'd you go to school? He goes, I have a master's in biochemistry from Ohio State. I'm like, yeah, well, F you, that's not fair. That's not fair. But you study, and I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you because of your age and your situation. You went back to school, you opened up a business, you became a professor, you're working with a college, you're going into the educational. That says something. And that's because of health. And I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And that's why, because I want to continue to do this. I like to continue to help people. Monetarily, yeah, you'll get compensated better as you get educated, but you'll help people. And the key is the more you can help people, the better your profession you'll be, and the more we further it. But we have to be healthy, because if you're not healthy and you're sick, everything stops. So that's one of the treatments I do in NKT. It's very popular. It's more popular in the Philippines or in Russia or in the UK, in those countries. There's
why is it more popular?
I don't know. It came out of a man, David Weinstock, which I'm going to meet. I'm going to see him again in a couple of months to take another course, to redo a course of his. He started it, and it blew up, and it's in San Francisco. So what's happening now is there's these new hybrid therapists like me that are a trainer, that are physical therapy also, and massage therapy, So in my program, if a woman came to me with her shoulder, I would fix her shoulder very quickly. And in the same workout, pretty much, work on her butt if she either wants to help her back, strengthen her back, or tighten up her glutes. Same deal, different way of doing it, but same thing. So I am able to train people as they're injured, where usually you can't. You got to get them for therapy. I could do
right.
I could do so.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, so I'm competing with chiropractors and box physical therapists. If you Google my business, I'm the only one that does what I do, but I compete with box therapy places, old school. And the thing with physical therapy, it's an outdated model.
Yeah. You know, the things that I've always said that, you know, I mean, I'll tell you, I get a lot of people post physical therapy because once you've gone through the physical therapy, you have to get stronger. And this is one thing I think is lacking in the profession, is that they're not addressing the strength. Even like chiropractic. Okay, you can make an adjustment, someone gets out of pain, but unless you are fixing that pattern and applying strength, that will never hold. And the thing that you're doing them right at the same time, which is very, very unique. How do people get in touch with you? I mean, I'm going to post the links and so forth on the podcast.
Well,
how do they get in touch with you?
My business is Five Way Fitness, FIVEWAY and my phone number is 561-400-7127. Could I just give you one thing more to say?
Go ahead, please.
So you could use this in your thing. So this is it. You see all these amazing videos of people walking pain-free.
Yeah.
It means nothing. Let's see you load it. All right, you walk back and forth. Throw a little 15-pound kettlebell. Let's see you do 10 squats. Then you prove it to the brain. So what you said is completely right. It's one thing to walk pain-free. Let's see you walk 20 minutes pain-free. And that's what, because if you prove it to the brain by loading it, that means you literally did balance and stabilized and get the issue. But just because you walked, just remember, even in massage, if you find an area and you, for 3-4 minutes, little massage it, the brain will relax. But you haven't done any alternate. You haven't altered anything because it's neurological. It'll come back. So that's, I wanted to tell you that in your business, you prove it, but you stretch the person out, let's say, and then you do 10 squats and they feel good. Then you prove it by loading it.
Yep, absolutely. That's
okay.
A great point. Great point.
And that's it. I have a private studio here in Pompano Beach. And I also work with clients at their homes. And eventually I'm going to venture out a little more and get some people to do what I do, or work with them where they could do, like the massage person can do the release while I activate, or vice versa. But I do all these other therapies, and just trying to, the key is to stay healthy, because this is it. No, man, I said this in a different way. So if you start off anyone slowly, let's say you start off, sooner or later, let's say you have a client and you start him off, and sooner or later he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Some's going to twitch. You better learn how to fix them. So that's what I did. You know, because they're going to maybe get a little twitch on their back, and you're going to warm it up, and they're going to warm it up. And then one day they're going to wake up with it. And we don't want to lose the business. And also we want to see them get fit. So I learned, my clients in Jersey put a pressure on me, and then I stepped up to the game, because I've had a lady said, let's not do, I said, we're doing shoulders. And I says, let's do legs, not do shoulders. And she says, you don't know what to do with my shoulders. And she stormed away. And that really, I felt helpless then, because I didn't know what to do. Because if someone says, I'm in pain, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Either you let them go, which is not good, and let them stop. But now the whole program is altered.
Right.
And I learned how to balance it out and get them back into it real quick.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. So we know how to get in touch with you, and I would like to also another time maybe discuss some nutrition with you and what we're doing here in this country. But people know how to get in contact with you. That's some great stuff. And it was a true pleasure having you on. And, I look forward to seeing you have more and more success.
Sure. I'd like that too. Thank you for the opportunity for the interview. And I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you face to face, Master Phil.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.